Hello and welcome to the economic update here for February. We're going to run through a recap of February so you have an idea of what headlines were going on and how that may affect some of the areas of the market going forward. All right, so jumping into headlines here, we have tariff shift at the top. Basically, we're going to probably continue to hear about tariffs for the rest of 2026. Now that the Supreme Court struck down the original part of the law that Trump was leveraging, there are other parts of the law that he has since gone to, and there are more beyond that that he could probably go to as well. So it's going to add more uncertainty most likely for the rest of 2026. So get used to keep hearing about tariffs. Iran conflict, obviously you know about this happening. Really, this is just adds the general uncertainty out there. So most likely what that means is that market's going to continue to be volatile and choppy while this is still going on. And policymakers are probably going to be a little bit more hesitant to make major changes while that uncertainty is in the air. Number three here, the jobs report. Jobs report for January is actually much better than expected. However, at the same time, they released revised numbers for 2025 going back, and those were much lower than expected. So jobs continue to be something to really say uneasiness when it comes to, is the economy doing well? Are we hiring? It probably looks not as good as people would likely hope it to look at this point in time. Interest rates here goes down to the Fed. Fed has been leaving interest rates the same. Probably they're going to continue to do that until they have more concrete information before more of these uncertainty elements drop off. Last thing here, market rotation. This is probably the thing that you've heard the least about in February of 2026 here, and that is good reason because these other four are probably much more newsworthy headlines. However, I'm going to run through some of that market rotation with you next as we go through the different areas of the market and how they perform. So on to how some different areas of the markets performed in the month of February here. So we have the movers, the shakers, and everything in between. So on the movers standpoint, you have emerging markets, real estate, foreign equity, Russell 2000. All these are up from 5 to roughly 12%. Real estate was the biggest mover, up 7% in the month of February. So while most of the eyes are on the S&P 500, it was kind of in the middle here. It's been bouncing around between -1 and +1 for most of this year so far. That's where most of the eyes are. However, there are many areas of the market that are material, that are well-established areas of the market that have been doing better so far this year. Bitcoin on the bottom here has continued its trend from the end of 2025 into 2026 here. One interesting thing to note about Bitcoin, however, is since the Iran conflict started, it's actually been one of the areas that has done the best as of recording of this video today. So just something to keep in mind as you're looking at your own portfolios. How are you putting everything together, and are you diversified in the way that maybe you're wanting to achieve? I'll be back in another 30 days to give you an update on how the economy and the market did overall for the month of March.